It's the time! Package for China time, so let's go. Yeah! Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So it's time for a new product from Anbernic, and product I was actually waiting for. So we have really seen already a couple of, let's say, devices from Emulation, or I said like a lot of them. But you know, this particular new one I am really looking forward to see what is going on. So let's see if I can slide this freaking thing out, because this is actually a sliding device. And I must say that I am really excited because this reminds me of the PlayStation Portable Go. That would be a fun comparison in the future. Let's see if there's anything inside of here. Nope, nothing. But the RG Slide is one of those very cool innovation, or something completely different when it comes to all the devices that we've seen in the last couple of years. But I just wanted to today make an unboxing together with you. So the RG Slide, and I thought I had like the black edition, but looking at the side we're having the white. But ooh, also it comes with Indigo Blue. I really like to have that one in the future, if this is going to be anything interesting. So when it comes to specification wise, I understand this thing is not the most powerful one out there, but it does come with a hefty price tag. So let's see what's going on. Okay, that's interesting. We got a letter from Embernic. Ah, we got a screen protector. That is what's going on, even with the cleaning wipes. Okay, I must say the presentation of the way how they go nowadays is quite nice. So let's see with this protection plastic and a foam piece. And let's see. Whoa, man, this thing is in beast. Man, I must say that this thing is surprisingly very cool. I do wonder one thing is, like, I got myself the white version and didn't really knew what one to pick, if it's going to be the black or the white. Let me know which color do you prefer. Where I find the black very stylish, particularly when it comes to the bezel and everything. But this thing is absolutely nice. It does have a very nice way to it. And when it comes to this sliding mechanism, it is really satisfying. And it got even a very nice kick if you're going to be closing and opening it. And you can actually see the rails where this thing is going to be sliding in. Everything is made out of metal, so I'm not afraid it's going to be breaking or some kind, or very soon. So it comes with a 5000 milliamp battery. But how about the ergonomics and also the weight itself? Before I get into that, so this one does come with an extra SD card. You can just buy these sometimes loose or extra, but oh boy, they're having these very nice colorful cards, and that means there's no brand whatsoever. So it would not be surprised if this thing is going to be getting corrupted within, let's say, a month or so, or even sooner. So, and in here we'll find the charging cable, but that's going to be just an USB-C cable. So nothing fancy. There is no charger. You need to buy that in your local store. I think they're not even offering that when it comes to the AliExpress pages. The weight of the device is 379, and for the same portable device, that is quite heavy. Due of the mechanism, this thing does come with a very thick overall design. At the bottom we're having the old school jack out, and we're having the USB-C for loading or charging. At the top we're not going to be finding anything, we're just having shoulder buttons. At the left side we're having the micro SD card input slot, but we do have an on-off switch and a volume control over here at the right. Another configuration that's interesting is that we do have two buttons at the side of the screen over here, or at least that is how they configure it is. So, but already did a chit chat about the sliding mechanism, and that gives like a serious kick. But how about if you're going to be just playing with this? And I mean particularly, like if you're going to be holding it and we're just going to be just playing, how comfortable is it actually? So I can tell you that when it comes to the back buttons, they're like easily to be, like say, yeah, they're like very easily to use. And I think the idea what you can do with this device, you can use the touchscreen but also use the physical control. So if you have like a game that you want to play with touchscreen only, you can actually play it like that, slide it open and just play your games. So the buttons, the ABXY button, due of the space we're having over here at the bottom, we do have of course limitations when it comes to, let's say, what kind of buttons and D-pad everything they can use. But they went for very tiny joysticks with a nice click. Very nice travel, select and start in the middle, and D-pad. And the D-pad itself feels quite nice, and having the ABXY button, but I can tell you that the ABXY button feels very nice. Okay, so it seems to be that we're having something of a cooling fan at the back. But let's plug in the charging cable is going to be needed, and also implement the SD card. And let's do a first boot up. Okay, this thing also doesn't really have a most powerful chip in the inside, but it does have like a lot of cool capabilities when it comes to emulation. So let's see how far we can push this device. I'm always like freaking fighting with this thing. How do you need to put this in? Oh! Oh! So let's turn this on and let's see what is going on. So with these Android devices, because this is actually what it is running on when it comes to a device like this. Yoo-hoo! Ah, there we go. Also have rumble function. That took freaking forever to actually boot up. So we need to set it up, and they do have their own front end when it comes to that. And they're like, for overall, let's say, configuration, it's just fine. But I just want to give you like a step-by-step progress. So click on the bottom. Okay, click on the bottom to select your language. Okay, so we're going to be going for English. Yes. Can I? Okay, that's been set to English already. We can use the Wi-Fi if you want to for the latest updates. And this way we can actually set the time and date. And that's the only thing that we're going to be doing. I do see some flickering on the camera, but let's see if I can actually manage to get that fixed. But it has to do something of the refresh rate of the display itself. The flickering stopped because I have been setting my camera to 50 Hertz or 50. But this will take up a little bit of time before it's actually going to be booting up. And this way we can just wait. Everything has been configured. We have implemented the SD card. That's going to be the more convenient part about this. Otherwise we're going to be having a problem or need to reset everything up again if the SD card isn't recognized. But it took up, let's say, a minute or 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So finish and go. Now, like all the other devices, it will also showcase all of the emulators that has been set up. And here you can see we're having Moonlight and other applications. Even Anbernic AI is now ready to go. And it seems we can even add our Play Store if you're going to be deep diving into this device, just see what we can actually do. But I mainly want to focus out of the box with some emulation. So yeah, when it comes to that, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. If you want to navigate, you can also use the buttons over here. But if you're going to be holding the left button over here, it will load up into the Anbernic and the Anbernic front end that's out of the box. Of course, we can use different kind of, let's say, front ends and set everything up with Launchbox, one of those many applications that you can buy. And yeah, it's going to be, I think that is one of the biggest problems we're having when it comes to Android devices. You do need a lot of setup, or at least if you want to have like a fancy menu and everything else. But that is some of the downside, but also the positive thing is you can install all kinds of cool games and we can just play it like that. So the first time application configuration needs to be completed. Next step to load the source file. So let's confirm that. Press OK. Allow everything. And now it will automatically set up everything. And if you're going to be booting up into an emulator, it will automatically boot into. And there we go. This has been set. Let's quit this. And now we can actually start off. And what you can do is absolutely crazy. You can play so much stuff with this, but it's not going to be like something super fancy. Do with the chipset itself, because we have seen all kinds of different handhelds with similar ones or maybe a little bit better. And this way we can just play all kinds of different games. So of course we're going to be doing a little bit of a focusing on some PlayStation 2 and vertical arcade. To see what's going on more. Sony PlayStation Portable is going to be interesting. We're having some Wii going on. But let's do a quick scroll through a couple of the systems, and let's start off with some simple, because those, yeah, let's be honest, they will run just fine, you know, but they're like a lot of fun to actually check out. You can see that have been set up all the kinds of, let's say, screenshots. We can boot it up like that, and it's going to be super easy. I just wanted to set up the camera moving on to the 60 frames per second. That seems to be working fine. Audio wise, this sounds really good. Let's crank it up. Okay, it's maximum. Giving you an idea how good it sounds. But just let's start with some simple 16-bit, where we have a gazillion different ways to actually play this, but it's always fun to just see what's going on with this. So one of the things I really like about this thing is that the D-pad plays very pleasant. And if you're going to be holding the device like this, so it's slided out, you can actually use your fingers to let the screen rest on this. So comfortable wise, this thing is maybe heavy, but it is very comfortable. And pressing this right button by the screen, you can actually get into the quick load, quick save menu, or you can just quit and go back to the menu to choose a different game. So the way how navigation works and everything is quite pleasant. But how about, let's say, the device when it comes for playing? I must say that I'm quite surprised by how comfortable it is, and I love that they implement bezels. D-pad and the analog stick are both configured. So one of the things you need to get used to is the way how the analog sticks actually are, because they're quite tiny, but they are really responsive. Yeah. But if you think you've seen it all, then you're going to be coming across a Super NES game with some very strange Street Fighter V homebrew. No idea what's going on with this. So far I don't see any weird difference between the normal game. But it's a great test to actually see if we can play some fighting games with the D-pad. Let's go to the analog stick. Yeah, this is absolutely great. So playing some Twisted Metal on the PlayStation 1, this is one of those games that absolutely utilizes all of the buttons of the controller. And in the past I had a lot of issues with having not enough buttons, but that's not going to be the case, because we have like 4 buttons on the top. So let's get into the game and let's see if everything is configured, how will it run. So it's also a game that you're going to be needing the D-pad or a good analog stick. And the D-pad position is great, but the analog stick is something I really need to get used to. Okay, I can swap fairly easy to the weapons. Let's go to the D-pad. So overall I must say that I am really pleased with the overall controls of this thing. In particular when it comes to the D-pad, I must say that I do find this an overall great device to actually play. Oh yeah, just beat the guy. And let's do a save over here. Oh crap, pressed the wrong button. Let's make a save. Save slot number 1. There was no screenshot, so that's a little bit of a downside, but that's been saved. And we're ready to go. Or we can just quit and go to the next game, of course. You can actually see that the touch buttons are still enabled, so what we can do is just slide it in like that. Let's see if we can actually use something. Oh wait. No, not all of the touch buttons are here. But in this way we can actually play with the touch itself. This is not going to be the best way to play. Oh, not really. Let's go with the Tekken Moto. But the performance of Tekken Tag seems to be fine. It's cool to see that we can actually play some PlayStation 2. But playing Tekken, this is not going to be the superb like handheld. The buttons are so freaking tiny. But it is absolutely playable when it comes to that. So let's do a little bit more testing with some PlayStation 2. I must say that when it comes to PlayStation 2, I'm not going to be using all of the, let's say, more demanding games. I just wanted to see a couple of them to see how they will run. Let's see if we can actually play like that. You know what's kind of a discomfort game? It's kind of cool, but this is absolutely a missed opportunity. The right joystick would be perfect for actually shooting when it comes to that. But I am surprised of, let's say, the performance when it comes to the PlayStation 2 over here. Where not every game I think will run perfectly. I think it's going to be absolutely a very fun experience if a couple of your favorite games will actually run. So I must say that playing through, let's say, PlayStation 2, I did see that a lot of different games are running very well, and I must say that at this point I am really excited. So this is absolutely great. I do wonder if you're going to be having these devices over a couple of years. Are we going to be having an, let's say, overall great performance with PlayStation 3 and more? It's absolutely promising when it comes to the Android part. I already disabled the touchscreen controls. We're going to be using the physical. But getting into the game and also throughout the intro, you can see that it does struggle here and there. Rumble motor has been activated, so that's absolutely cool that the Rumble is communicating with the emulator itself. But this thing is not running 100% perfectly. I must say that it is absolutely playable. Maybe you can still do a little bit of tweaking with a certain game, but beside that, this is great. But you can hear that it really dips down in the frames per second when getting into the battles. But would not be surprised throughout, let's say, the year, going to be having all kinds of different updates that making the PlayStation 2 emulator way better when it comes to compatibility. But let's make it safe and try that later on. Moving on to the PlayStation Portable, let's go with the turbo mode so we can actually skip the intro, because I've seen it like a gazillion times now. But what is more interesting is like, what can we do with the device when it comes to emulation performance? But do we reach now that we have like all kinds of different devices that can we play some PlayStation Portable with? Another thing is like, can we see how we get into the menu itself, because that is another thing. Well, let's see what's going on when playing some God of War, Change of Kinkiness. So let's go to settings and let's see what has then been set up. So Vulkan, one time, we're not going to be doing any upscaling for now. Frame skipping have been set off. Let's see, not having the frames per second. That's what we're going to be doing, and let's see what's going on. And let's just check out if we can actually play this game. But yeah, this seems to be working just fine. We'll slide this way. Also, the rumble motor has been activated. Touchscreen plays really strange. But out of the box, we can actually do some really cool things. So let's see if we can upscale it, let's say 3 times the resolution. Let's continue. Okay, that seems to be working fine. So far, so good. So yep, we can actually do some upscaling with PlayStation Portable, but depending on what kind of game. So yeah, that is absolutely cool. So let's make a save file over here. Save. Thank you. And let's continue to the next game. Between all of the wicked stuff, let's take a close look at some Atomic Wave and Dolphin Blue. Ooh, we do got some stutters going on there. We're not even getting into the crowded part with all of the dolphins. Oh yeah, so it does stutter here and there, but it is forgivable. So as you can see, when it runs through the retro course, we can make a quick save over here. So when it comes to playing some Nintendo DS, we do have the option to actually play this. I have no idea which button to choose to actually pick. So the bezels, I'm not a big fan of this. We can even do a quick, let's say, skipping. You can just switch the screens. But out of the box, I personally prefer to have like the big screen over here And then that way actually you have the option to switch between the games, because this game only utilizes most of the time the top screen. So yeah, this is another way to play. What is kind of cool that we can actually use the touchscreen over here. It's kind of tiny when it comes to that, but you know, we can switch like we did with the other game. But there are games playable with 3DS. And what I find absolutely cool that we can actually use the touchscreen on the screen here at the bottom. So moving on to one of my favorite fighting games to actually play on the Wii. But also it's going to be pushing this device to its limit when it comes to that. There will be a time that we have these devices that can actually play all of these games without any problems whatsoever, or at least like having a full 60 FPS and maybe do a little bit of upscaling, but let's move it on. But I'm surprised with the overall performance. We do have some frame dips there, 29 frames. But out of the box from day one, yeah. This is not bad at all, and I find it absolutely a beautiful game to look at on the screen. But let's take a close look at this game over here. So we do have a different layout. This is our Racing Evolution. We're going to be using the shoulder buttons now. Let's see. I'm always trying to grab the D-pad because I'm a D-pad gamer. But so far, this seems to be working just fine. I love the audio and the visual part of this system. I do need to get a little bit used to the joystick. Not because it's too sensitive or whatsoever, but... Well, I did hear a minor dip there, but the overall performance is absolutely surprisingly good. We can make a quick save over here. We can just go into quick load. Okay, I just want to see what's going on and just exit there. Super easy. Okay, so this device didn't really disappoint when it comes to that. I must say this Anbernic slide is a very cool new concept. They should do stuff like this more often. Just stay away from the stuff that we have seen gazillion times, but just to be innovative, create something new and that is exciting. So this thing has a lot of potential, but it is kind of heavy and very clunky. So I love this sliding thing. Maybe they can make like a version 2 to the door, like a smaller version in the future. I'm curious what Anbernic will bring to the table. Let me know in the comments what do you think of such an, let's say, expensive but powerful but clunky device. And it would be great if you subscribe, hit the little bell, and we'll be ready to see you just in the next video.